Here. All right, here we are. Sit. I'm going to have him sit here. Okay. And we're actually, so you go that way to show we're walking up to this new person here. And Barkley does not know this person. He's even wearing a hat and everything. Sit. But Barkley has met a number of people in the same spot, in the same way. So he may, but I'm not putting anybody that he knows next to him, so this is extra hard. And he's not going to bite you. But just let him take the treat out of your hand. Go say hi. He takes the treat. Come. And then I say come. Good boy. So this is kind of like, I'm making it a little bit harder than I'm telling you to make it, because I'm telling you guys, okay, to sit. To have somebody that he's familiar with stand next to the new person, and even one on either side would even be better, and to not have them wear hats and funny glasses or whatever, but he is wearing a hat and he's just by himself and Barkley doesn't know him, so this is kind of worst case scenario. See exactly how I'm doing it? See how he wants to run over there? He wants to go over there because the new guy has treats. He wants that. Go. Good boy. Good. Come. Good. Of course, we've done this with a bunch of strangers to Barkley. Sit. So I had to find another stranger to do this with. And this is going to be the third time, but this is exactly how you do it. Make sure that you lead him up to the person, designate a certain spot on your property in front of your house or not inside, because when somebody walks through that front door and Barkley's inside, he's way more likely to be protective of that inner area. You always want to do it in a more open space, a more neutral territory, like the driveway or the sidewalk or someplace like that. It's going to be way easier and safer and more likely to be successful if you do it in front of the house, outside, and then you guys all walk together, which I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to send him over one more time. Go say hi. Come. And he doesn't have to be petted by them. This is a lot for him to just happily go over and accept a gift multiple times, and then we're going to walk inside, and I think you should come this way, so just kind of pan back, and then you're going to walk before me. We're going to walk into one of our dog training houses here. Okay, go ahead, go on in. Come on, bud. Sit. And so he's inside, and Barkley's outside still. He's a little bit weird about the camera person being behind us. So, okay, we come inside, and then one more time, sit. And you're gonna come and show me, send Barkley to the person. Go say hi. Last time. Yeah. Good boy, Barkley. And then he gets treats. And then we put Barkley away. Sit. Okay. We have dogs in there and crates, so it makes it an extra stressful kind of place to do that, which is why he's so much better at your house, because it's actually way less stressful at your house. But when we're house training dogs or house breaking dogs, they're crate trained during the day, and this is the living room we keep them in. So you saw the person got the treats here, went in before us, received the treat, one last treat inside. Barkley came in after him. You're never going to have a new person follow, because that would, of course, make anybody apprehensive if a new person's right behind them. So they go first. He gets one more treat from them in there. And you build this impression of, hey, when new people come over, great stuff happens. You end that interaction there right after you got the treat. At first, you just end that interaction, put Barkley away in his crate in the back room with his favorite bone. And over time, you start staying out longer and longer. And if Barkley comes over to the person, if you're hanging out in the living room or wherever, that guy has, or that person has treats that he hands to Barkley, but don't pet for a while. So, later on, Barkley is going to be fine with being petted, but let's work up to that first. And this is the way you do it. This is the way we got to know him here, and he's being handled by a bunch of different people here now that he didn't know and wasn't comfortable with before. That's exactly how we did it here with a bunch of different people. So just do it the way we did it, and it'll keep getting better at your place. Okay. Sit. We're taking Barkley out for a walk here in public. Okay, get him a little bit close to a doorway. Sit so you can see that. And every boundary, doorways, gateways, curb coming up, we're gonna have him sit and wait so that he really respects those boundaries. Okay, it's also just about being calmer in general, because every step of the way has to stop and think, stop and think, stop and focus. Every boundary makes him feel safer. Sit. And sit out here and release him for a second. Go. And if you're telling what to do, it's constant checking in with a dog that somebody else is calling the shots, orchestrating his life. He doesn't have to guard you like a possession, because you're taking care of him. You're constantly telling him what to do, whether it's, I mean, it's not constantly, but whether it's every couple of minutes you cross the street and you do a little curb thing that we're about to do, or come, calling him back to come to you and just to give him a treat. Good boy. Maybe you step into him and say sit, and then go, like just simple stuff. It's not like the walk is all training, but break it up with those types of things where you're having him do something for you, you're making him sit and wait a lot of the times, and it just really helps stabilize a dog, make them calmer, make them feel safe, so that they're not doing all those inappropriate things they used to do. So let's move over to the curb. So we're going to walk up to this curb here. Sit. Before we cross the street, we're going to have him sit. I'm going to do the sit-stay, little sit-stay exercise where we walk around him both ways. Really has to focus and think here. And he's used to doing this, so look. And if you want to reward him, eye contact, good, straight down, which I really don't anymore, but at first, maybe you should, just like I did at first. Okay. And then you won't have to in a week or so, just to get the ball rolling so he really gets used to doing this with you. Do exactly what I did at first, and you'll have much better results. You'll get to have what I have now if you do what I did in the beginning as well. Sit, have him sit, and then go. You're free. Go. Good boy. So we're going to start our walk now. So we just released him after we did our little boundary exercise, sat at the front door, sat at the gate, sat at the curb, across the street, released him to be free. This is the way we start a walk. He's already in the zone, so to speak. He's pretty calm. I never choke up on the leash, because if you choke up on the leash with any dog, it's going to make them have anxiety, stress them out. It will trigger unwanted behaviors. So this is your big enemy, having a tight leash like this. So there's none of this, where you're walking like this, and there's none of this, where you make the leash tight. So just notice through all the clips here, it's a loose leash. This loop is over my left hand. My right hand's free. If I need him to come to me, let's say that somebody popped out, somebody, just jogging past and surprised us, and he might even lunge, he barks or whatever. Just come. Just call him your way. Good boy. Left hand grabs the leash, and then you have him. So the worst thing to do is somebody's coming and you go like this, because you'll trigger all kinds of bad behaviors with that tension. So use the training now, where instead of this, come, back away, good, and he rushes to you. So use the training to get him out of those situations now, not the leash. The leash is always there, just in case, but if he didn't come to you, it's a tap. See how when you tap it, if you tap it, he comes your way. I didn't even say the command, good boy. So it's all about handling the leash in a way that doesn't stress him out. That's a big part of any dog's problem that comes here, is that there's a lot of this kind of stuff. And even if you think you're not doing it, and you think you haven't been doing that, usually people were. So anyway, always a loose leash, and you'll see that he'll stay relaxed and do the recalls instead of choking up, and he'll just get better and better, more and more relaxed over time. Good boy. So we have somebody just walking up to us. Good, and I've called him away from so many strangers on the street that I don't even have to call him to come anymore. But what I did for a while was, somebody be walking up to us or past us, I would just say, before they got too close, as soon as he saw them, and it could be 50 yards away, as soon as he saw them, come, I would call him to me. And we did that so many times, and now you see what happens. Some person's walking up, he looks at him, and then he turns back to me, and I just pay him and tell him good. Like, it's just a pattern now that's set, and it goes on by itself. But you want to keep feeding it just exactly like I did, so that it gets even stronger, and so strong that it never goes away, and his other issues just go away. But in your case, when I'm not there and you're walking him, he might be tempted to go back to his old ways if you don't, from the second you start handling him, do exactly what we're doing here. So if you're going to take him out in public, do the boundary training, do all that kind of stuff, make sure the leash is loose, and then the first distraction you see, come, call him to you. Good, because that's what I would do. And if you do that, then you'll start having what I have here. And we're here at a brand new Christmas tree farm, not farm, but place where they sell them. And just to show you how relaxed he's become in public. I mean, when I first started taking him out here, he was not relaxed. I don't know how he was with you. So I started taking him out as soon as I could. I started taking him out in public. And anybody approaches, good boy. Come on, let's get out of the way of this guy with his baby. Come. Good. He didn't know that guy was coming, so he got a little bit startled, but that was okay. I mean, if you keep handling him this way, he's going to get easier and easier. Show this to your right, and then show us again. So it's a great place to come out and practice. He's gotten a lot calmer here over the weeks we've been coming out here, and he's pretty okay with everything, so good. So here, why don't you step in a little bit, and I'll just do a little training right here. Come on, bud. So I'll just pick a place, sit a random place in the middle of a bunch of goings on, and just practice a sit stay, for example. And maybe I'll just do one of these. At first I just did one of them, had a success, he was cool with it, he got a big treat, big reward, good, and release him, go, and then I would quit while I was ahead. And now I can do a lot of stuff with him. If I want to, I can do down, and we'll practice it down with people walking around behind him. And he's pretty unconcerned about that. And I can do a couple of sit stays in different spots and a couple of down stays in different spots if I wanted to. But I suggest that if you take him out like this, you go to some places that are a little bit less crazy than the Home Depot and the Home Depot parking lot. Good at first, and kind of ease him into being in these situations with you handling him. Get comfortable with the training in your house and in your yard and in front of your street and all that first. Okay, sit until you bring him here. Go before you bring him here, because I even worked him up gradually to that. That's why he's pretty cool here right now. So, come. I don't know what he smelled, but it smelled good to him there, so called him away. And when you start this out in public, just do a sit stay somewhere and a down stay somewhere else, and always end while you're ahead, quit while you're ahead, and while he's doing well. That's the way you build him up, and he gets better and better. If you try to do too much too soon and he starts getting nervous and starts making mistakes, you've stayed too long and you actually go backwards that way. So just a little bit at a time, and overall he'll change a lot faster if you do it that way. Okay, bud, let's go. All right, sit. Always walk him up to the mat, have him sit. Make sure this leash is loose. You're never restraining him, holding it tight. If he is pulling, and he shouldn't be pulling if he's in a sit, but if he keeps trying to get up, you just tap it a little bit and release. It's that move, tap and release. You see it throughout these videos here. All these clips, these Barkley clips on his one video, you see me tap and release. You never see me controlling, dragging, or restraining like that, because that can cause stress. It will cause stress and big problems in any dog. So we never have a tight leash. We're always tapping and releasing. So he's here on a loose leash, sitting. I pat his chest with my right hand and say, go to your mat, walk over with him, and I say down. And then we start this little exercise we do. which is good. He waits respectfully while I place the reward on the mat, and when I withdraw, he takes it off the mat. And I just start doing easy stuff like basic downstay, where he accepts me walking around both ways. We don't say stay. We don't have to say stay, because he knows that when we say down, it means to stay until he's released. So he's waiting for the release command. And there are a lot of things that we can do, probably an endless amount of things we can do to try to trigger him to pop up. We can pull on the leash. These are all basic things that usually would make a dog good with not really very good training pop up. But he knows, because we've gone through this whole list of things, he knows that he only gets up when I release him in a very specific way. But if he's in your house, you can also go outside, knock on doors, ring on doorbells, all those types of things. And we're also going to show you that in a house with a lot going on. I'll show you that as well. But this is out in the yard, so you can do it out in the yard as well. You have a problem in your backyard with a neighbor dog, so you should do this mat exercise on the other side of the yard from that fence where the neighbor dog is, and you should have his, nope, if he tries to get up, because he's not used to me talking while I'm doing this. If he tries to get up, you just say no and you put him back. But when you're practicing this in your yard where the neighbor dog is over there, have his left side, so to the distraction. Never point him towards the distraction, because you want him to look, but then choose to turn back to you and focus on you and get rewarded. So it's an involuntary reaction to turn and look at a dog barking or whatever it is, but it's a learned behavior to decide to turn away and look at you and get rewarded. And it's a great exercise to do with any dog to desensitize him to a distraction, like a dog barking at a fence. But always start as far away as possible and then move closer gradually. Don't start too close. You'll know if you're too close because he will not be able to handle it. So start far away and work closer. If he gets distracted and pops up, you say no. And see how I'm just doing this little do-over thing? And I barely touch the leash. All I have to do is this now, and he'll go back. So that's what I'm going to do for you in the yard, and then I'm going to do some stuff in the house to show you as well. So when we're going to release him, he's waiting for me to come back next to him. Okay, walk him off the mat, say sit, and then tap his chest and say go, and now he's free. Go to your mat, down. We're just going to do a little sequence inside as well to show you what we've been doing here. Good. Make sure he always waits until you actually withdraw when you're going to give him a reward. Good. We've loaded up this house with dogs to bark, because I know he had a problem with a barking dog at a fence line. Turns out only one of them is barking, but he's pretty loud. So I'm just going to do some things in the house here. I'm going to disappear in the back of the house behind a closed door and knock on the door. You stayed there? Good. I'm going to go outside and bang on the windows. I'm going to mess with the mail flap. I'm going to knock on the door. And I'm going to ring the doorbell. That was a lot all at once. Good, big reward. Just to show you what we've been doing inside a house as well. Usually we don't have this many dogs in here, so I just made it so it would be as hard as possible so you could see. But that's what we're doing inside the house, and you also have the clip of us doing it out in the yard as well. Okay, sit, keep filming. And I'm going to take him outside. Boundary here, he's sitting, waiting. I'm stepping out first. He waits till I come back next to him. Okay, he walks out with me. And on the outside of the door, it's sit. And I don't know, can you see him? I always release him this way. He goes through here calmly. We sit on the outside. We pat his chest and say, go. And then he's free out in the yard. We're always walking Barkley up to the crate. Of course, this crate's going to be in your house somewhere, hopefully in a quiet room that is behind a door that you can close, so it can kind of get him out of the mix with, with the kids, or if you're having a party or something. It should be in a quiet place where the door closes behind him, so that he's just not like at the other end of the room, but still really there, because he can see everybody and be a part of the action. He really needs to be separate in a place where he can decompress, chewing on his favorite bone or something he loves to do, eating his meal, because you timed the visitor's arrival with him eating his meal, something like that. It's always it's a good association for him to be in there in the quiet room when there's stuff going on out in the other part of the house. So what we do is we walk him up to it and we have him sit, we open the door, and then we say go. Then we toss something in, and he's a little bit hesitant because we never send him into a crate outside in the yard. But he still went in, and I actually tossed a treat in there, and he liked that. And now he's in there, I'm going to give him another treat. And I remember that somebody said in your family that he had a problem with you reaching in. So for a while, I wouldn't do that. I would just put the leash in there, because I would never want him to go back to doing what he did with you before. Later on, you'll be able to do whatever you want, but for a while, when you take him out, it's so much easier. Have a piece of some sort of treat that he likes. He's taking it right now. He's munching on it. You take the end of the leash. Make sure he waits. He's not allowed to come out until you actually say, okay, and then he'll come out. Come on, bud. Whoop. And see, this was a little problem because this door was closing on him, so that's why he was kind of skittish around this crate. But anyway, you have him stop and wait to go in, like you saw me do, and then you have him wait. He kind of waits naturally, and you say okay, and he'll come out. We feed him in there. He sleeps overnight in the crate. Throughout the day, he's in and out of that crate constantly. Every hour or so he's out. He's got lots of outside time, of course. And every time that he goes in or comes out, we follow this routine. And it's just a great addition to the whole training. And I think that if you leave the leash on him for a while, maybe like for the first month or so, and he gets used to your hands coming in, bearing a gift, and then it's already attached to him, you just take it and have him come out, I think it'll be easy for you to later on reach in. Okay, I'll show you how I can do it. Sit. Send him again. Go. Treat. Reach in, unhook him. And then when you go to take him out, treat. Here, bud. And then reach in, hook him up, and say, okay, come on, bud. But the first few weeks we had him, we didn't do that because he was afraid of hands coming in there. So that's how we got him to the point where now we can reach in and unclip him or clip him up. But for a few weeks, we did it the other way. He always had the leash on when we sent him in, and all we had to do was give him a treat and then take the leash. And so he never bit anybody when they reached in because they didn't try to do something too soon that he wasn't ready for. So I suggest you do it that way as well, the way we did it for the first little while that we had him. And then it ends up being this way because he starts to really look forward to your hands coming in after a while, because you always come bearing a little gift. And just control his access in and out, the sit, go in, and then the waiting until you say okay and coming out. And this is a place to put somewhere cozy and private in a quiet room, so he can go there when there's too much going on in the household and he needs a break. Always give him his bones and chewies and his favorite stuff, and feed him only in here. If you're going to give him that stuff just in common areas, you're squandering your ammo, so to speak, your power of making him think this is the greatest place on the planet for him to be, in which you want him to feel that way. Because you're going to have to put him in here from time to time, and you want him to love it every time. So good stuff only happens in there. Okay.